How many of you have competed in a contest with more than 65,000 people and won? Anybody? I did, and I was just 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. I'm now just 16. I'm a sophomore in high school, but I think back to January of 2021. I was sitting watching MSNBC, and I saw a reporter come on the screen and start talking about COVID vaccines. This reporter started talking about how COVID vaccines would become available to seniors and healthcare workers in the state of Florida very soon. I immediately took interest because my grandparents are in their 80s and they live in Florida. They had not been living the lives that they wanted to live. They had been staying away from their family, staying away from their friends, and they hadn't been doing what they wanted to do. So when I heard that I had an opportunity to get them vaccinated against COVID and give them some semblance of normalcy back, I jumped on it. So I went onto their county website and I started trying to figure out, how exactly do I do this? How do I book them a shot? And I found some information, but it wasn't enough. So I continued looking at different sources. I looked at their county's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Anywhere where there was information about how to get them vaccinated, I was trying to figure it out. So I finally heard about appointment drop number 1. And I was excited because I felt like I had an opportunity to get them vaccinated. And it was a fantastic thing because they'd been waiting throughout the entire pandemic for this moment. So when the time came for appointment drop number 1, I went to the Florida Department of Health website, and I'm getting ready to book the shot, and then I see something that says I need to be redirected to a third-party website to book the shot. And I was confused, so I clicked on the link, and I was assuming that I'd be redirected to some government website, a .gov, a floridashot.org, but I'm redirected to a third-party for-profit concert ticketing website. And I was baffled because I was expecting some government website. And this was the first point at which I realized that the system set up to keep my grandparents safe, it had failed. So I went onto this concert ticketing website, and I'm getting ready to book the vaccine appointments for my grandparents. I'm on my computer, and the appointments drop, and I'm typing on my computer as fast as I possibly can. Give me a shot for my grandparents, let's keep them safe. I failed. There weren't enough shots for everybody. We all know that. There were millions of people that needed vaccines. There weren't enough around to give them to everybody. So I kept trying because I was not going to let this stop me. I knew that I needed to keep my grandparents safe and I needed to get them vaccinated. So I kept trying. I kept looking on their county website. I looked on the Florida Department of Health website. I was looking on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere where I could find information, I was looking. Until I finally heard about appointment drop number 2. This time I was getting ready, I got on their county website, was redirected again, and I typed on my computer as fast as I possibly could again. I lost again. And it felt like everything that I wanted for them, this chance of normalcy, this way out of the pandemic, was gone. I couldn't do it. There just weren't enough shots for everybody, and I had failed. So once again, I got back on my computer. I stayed tuned to everything else. I watched the county website. I watched the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, and I finally heard about appointment drop number 3. And before appointment drop number 3, I had a conversation with myself. I said, Benjamin, you're not going to fail this time. This time, you're going to get your grandparents a vaccine appointment because you want to keep them safe. So appointment drop number 3 rolls around, and I'm on my computer. The appointment's release. I'm typing as fast as I possibly can. Please give me a shot to keep my grandparents safe. Come on, come on. And it came through. It felt like everything that I'd wanted throughout the entire pandemic had happened. I could smile because I had secured 2 COVID-19 vaccine appointments for my grandparents, and they were going to be able to feel safe again. And it was an amazing feeling. Fast forward 1 month, and I'm now in school. I was sitting in my living room, and this was my school's virtual career day. A reporter came onto the Zoom call, and he started talking about how he would be doing a story on the local news at 6 p.m. And he told everyone to go watch it. So at 6 p.m., I went to my TV, and I turned it on, and instead of seeing this reporter on the screen, I ended up seeing a news segment that has forever changed my life. I saw a news segment about a Facebook group where people were giving others tips and information about how and where to book COVID vaccine appointments. So I joined the group, and I quickly started responding to posts. Someone would put a post up like, How do I get a shot? Where do you book a shot? What time? And so I would start responding to their posts, and I would say, you there, I see you. You go on to the Walmart website at midnight, you'll book a shot. You there, Walgreens, 6:30 p.m., that vaccine is good as yours. You there, I see you. Go on to a local clinic at 6 a.m. and you will book a vaccine. And this work was incredible because I got to interact with some of Illinois' most vulnerable residents who had been staying away from what they loved. And I got to be the one to say, you can get back to normal. You can have your life back. It was an awesome, awesome feeling. So I did this through this Facebook group, and I helped hundreds of people, but I quickly started to realize that there were millions more out there, and people would message me every single day. I would get thousands of messages from different people saying, Benjamin, I don't understand how to do this. Like, even with your advice, even with your tips on what website to go to, I don't get it. And people started asking me, will you do it for me? So I did what people asked. I booked the vaccine appointments for them. And I started doing this, and this was also incredibly gratifying work because I got to hear these stories. I got to connect with people on a personal level, and I got to give them their vaccine appointment and tell them, you can go see your grandchild. You can get back to normal. It just made me so happy to do this. But after a while, I started to realize that I couldn't keep up. Like I said, I was just 14 at the time. I was a freshman in high school. I had to keep up with staying in school. I had to keep up with homework, extracurriculars, everything else going on in my life. I couldn't do it all. So I decided I knew there were more people out there like me who knew how to use the technology, and I knew there were millions more people who were struggling. So I founded an organization called the Chicago Vaccine Angels. And this group was tasked with booking as many COVID-19 vaccine appointments for Illinoisans as possible. People who were struggling with the technology, we were going to help them. And so I realized the COVID vaccine distribution process is incredibly complex. But I had to figure out, how do I break this down into a small, manageable piece that I can manage to help people? So I said, let's make a Google form, right? That's simple. So I went onto Walmart's website and I copied down their criteria of what information do you need to book a COVID vaccine appointment. I copied this and I put it into my Google form, and it was done. I started sending this Google form to the thousands of people that needed my help. And they would fill it out, put their information in, and then I would be able to help them. But like I said, I couldn't do this all on my own. I needed help. So I started this group, like I mentioned, and I had volunteers helping me fulfill these requests because I couldn't do it all. So the information would be inputted from this Google form, and it would go from the form into a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet was viewed first by just a handful of people that I'd met on Facebook. And my volunteer team quickly grew from 5 people to 10 people to more than 50 adult volunteers who were taking time out of their busy lives to make this effort to help people. Not because they wanted to gain something from it, but because they actually wanted to help people. They wanted people to get back to their lives. They wanted people to get back to normal. And so they helped. And they took time away from their jobs and their kids and their family and their friends because they wanted people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, through this effort, my organization booked more than 6,000 COVID-19 vaccine appointments. And this was incredible because, like I said before, I got to hear stories from people when I was talking with them, and I got to hear why they needed the shot so desperately. I think of one woman who had been seeing her grandson through a glass door for a year during the COVID-19 pandemic. I talked with her, and in less than 24 hours, she had a scheduled COVID-19 vaccine appointment. And when I heard from her that she had gotten the shot, it was incredible. Because a few weeks later, she got to go see her grandson without the glass door. And she got to hug her grandson. And it made me so happy to hear that my efforts had directly impacted somebody in this incredible way. So like I said, we booked over 6,000 COVID-19 vaccine appointments. And when I say that, I want to be clear that 6,000 is not a hard number. 6,000 is flexible because 6,000 people filled out their information in a Google form, came through my spreadsheet, and then were marked red as done by myself or another volunteer. My actual estimation is that we booked more than 10,000 vaccine appointments because there were thousands of people that private messaged me and private messaged my volunteers because we were known as these individuals that got things done. I was known as this teen vaccine angel who knew how to get people shots, knew how to stay up until 2 in the morning if it meant that I could help just one person go see their grandchild. Now, these 10,000 people, they were incredible. It was just great to hear all of these stories from these different people who had wanted their lives back, and we were able to give them that. Now, this was one part of our extraordinary efforts, but there were still barriers to people getting a COVID vaccine, and I wanted anybody to be able to get a shot. I didn't want it to be restricted. I wanted anyone, any of you, to have an opportunity at getting a COVID-19 vaccine appointment. So I started working to get rid of other barriers. I quickly realized that there were thousands of homebound Illinoisans in my area that were stuck in their homes who couldn't go to a mass vaccination site like you or I could. There was nothing they could do. So how do you get a vaccine to somebody who can't leave their home? You have to bring it to them. So I started a homebound vaccine program, and it started with just one doctor and one of my volunteers. That doctor would take the vaccine, he would drive over to somebody's home, he would draw the vaccine, he would stick the needle into someone's arm. He would wait 15 minutes, he would issue them a vaccine card, he'd make sure all the paperwork was filled out, and then this doctor would pack up their things, get in a car, and go drive to vaccinate somebody else. Now, through our program, we vaccinated over 200 homebound Illinoisans. And this was an incredible feat because there was no homebound vaccine program in our area at this time. There was nothing run by the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, or Cook County. There was just nobody to help. And my program, this program being run by a 14-year-old out of my bedroom, this was the first thing that was happening. And it gave these people who were so in need, people who were incredibly immunocompromised and who had all these different diseases, I was the one that got to tell them, you can feel safe again. It was truly incredible, and I am so glad for all of the people who took time out of their busy lives to help with this effort. Because it wasn't the quickest way to grow vaccination rates in Illinois. It absolutely was not the way for these vaccine providers to make money. But it was the way that we ensured that no Illinoisan was left behind. Everybody should be able to get a shot with no boundaries and nothing stopping them. Now, in closing today, I want to leave you all with two things. The first thing is that these people that I'm talking about, 6,000, 10,000, or the 1,000 that I personally booked myself, they're not just numbers. It's very easy with COVID to just call these people numbers. You know, X number died, X number caught COVID. But what I want you to remember is that these are real life human beings. These are not just numbers. They're not data points. They're not pieces of information from a spreadsheet. These are 10,000 human beings who have family and friends and lives of their own and people who care about them. And they just wanted to get back to normal so they could live their life. Now, the second thing I want to close with is that any of you can make a difference in your community. You don't have to be the CEO of a company, the president of a university, or the mayor of a town. If you put in hard work and effort, you can make change. And this is not small change. This is change that can change people's lives. I was just 14 years old when I started this whole effort. I didn't intend to start an organization that helped over 10,000 people. It just sort of happened. It started with my grandparents, and it grew as was needed. You all can do that too. You all can help change people's lives. If you put in the time and the work and the effort, you can do it. I believe in you. Thank you.